The opportunity for leftists to make the point that God, almost to mock, and that is what it is mocking the idea that as a believer that you believe in a creator. Mocking your faith is one of the opportune times. People love to take tragedies like these in Texas on the left, people who are godless and atheists. This is their opportunity to try to convince believers that there is no God, or that if there is, that he's out for vengeance and you somehow deserve it anyway, and that they're somehow on the side of God, which of course is a contradictory position unto itself. How can one be on the side of God if they think that this is God taking out his wrath on Republicans for supporting government spending cuts? So are you acknowledging then that you believe in God? And that somehow you think God is rendering a just verdict? No. No, you're just taking the opportunity to spit on people who vote differently than you do. You don't believe in God. Of course you don't. And the irony is these people think that more government is what would have saved any lives. They think that government is what saves lives. I write about this today at the Harum Society, actually, about socialism, frighteningly close to taking root. I mean, full-blown, like elected office, senior office in New York socialism could be on the way there. And how contradictory it is, of course, to Christian values, how contradictory it is to any of us who are believers. The greatness, the natural rights that we just celebrated on the 4th of July, they're gifts from God. The left doesn't believe that. That's kind of the thing about their amusing protests over the weekend, that they weren't feeling patriotic and they weren't going to acknowledge the 4th of July. They weren't going to acknowledge Independence Day because that ogre Trump. Of course, all the while missing the irony that the very freedom that they have to take to the public square or go on social media or wherever it is they chose to spit on the flag and spit on the country and say they're not going to celebrate Independence Day and all of this. Little do they recognize or realize the irony in all of that is, of course, that's a natural right that exists to them because of God. Now, if Donald Trump were truly just the dictatorial ogre they believe him to be, there would be no right for them to protest publicly in the street or online. We'd be Iran. We'd be North Korea. Total state control, everything. There would be no getting on social media. You would gather in the street and you would wave your flag and you would salute and you would celebrate. And if you were caught doing anything else, you'd wind up in a gulag. That doesn't happen here. You know, Mike Johnson said this well on the floor heading into the weekend as the big beautiful bill was on its way to passing. 2775, if you would, Paulie. I thought he said it very, very well. Here's Speaker Johnson.
The powerful thing about that is we're the first nation in the history of the world that acknowledged that our rights do not derive from government. They come from God himself. You see those words up there, that motto, it says, "In God we trust," right above the Speaker's rostrum. You know, a previous Congress put that there in the early 60s in the height of the Cold War. There's a little visitor's guide that people get when you do tours late at night. You've probably seen your constituents and visitors and friends get the guide. If you turn, I think it's about to page 21. It explains why that's there. And it says, Congress voted to put that there as a rebuke to the Soviets' worldview at the height of the Cold War. Why? Because communism, socialism, find their root in Marxism. And Marxism begins with the belief that there is no God. It's wrong. And this Congress made us stand those many years ago, and we should do it again. We're different. Okay. We're distinct. We're exceptional.
We are different. We are distinct. We are exceptional. We will always be.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.
It's Chris Stigall, and you're watching The Answer Now TV.